Alright, this is going to be the start of my squad armor guide. This will be a series where we will be talking about general and specific armor information and armor theory. This will read and look like a textbook, so you won't find anything flashy here, just raw knowledge. If you're looking for something flashier, you might want to check out other guides. I've sectioned this video throughout, and each section will be labeled and timestamped in the video description. My guide's not supposed to be the only guide you should follow. There are many guides out there that have more or less information that you should consider. To be a successful armor player, you need to take all the information out there and put it into practice or testing. You will only get better if you keep playing. You'll find other guides that I used in the video description. This guide is updated for version 7.1. If there's a new update or if things are outdated, I'll try to update whatever's wrong. Here's a little bit about me. I have just over 2,800 hours in squad, with around 2,000 of those hours being in armor. I'm also in a group called Together We Stand that has a focus surrounding armor gameplay. I've been in that group for just over a year and a half now. I wish there were other stats I could give about myself, but OWI doesn't really have any proper stat tracking, so this is really all I can give you. This is for the servers I play on. Here you are. Me and my group tend to stay on TAC Trig for most of the day, but once everyone's off, I find myself going to more new player-friendly servers like Potato Fields or Keystone Gaming. Purpose. These are the topics we will be going over in this video. These are the fundamentals of armor and are relevant to all major types of armor, being APCs, IFVs, and MBTs. Again, check the video description for the timestamp of each section. Operational duties. Your job in armor is very simple. Destroy enemy armor, support friendly infantry directly or indirectly, threat presence, and don't die. To touch up a bit on the second and third bullet points, you don't always have to be actively helping out your friendly infantry by swinging shells towards the enemy. Your presence alone can influence how the enemy plays. You can situate yourself close by to react to enemy armor if they happen to show up, or help cover a flank while they push into an objective. You don't have to listen to your friendly infantry to drive into the city and help them clear out the buildings if you don't think you'll survive long enough to be effective. Remember, you can't give support or act as a threat if you're already dead. Terminology. If you don't know these terms yet, here you go. Pretty simple to read and understand. I may be missing some stuff, or you may have different terms that you like to say, but this is what people tend to say and mean. Just make sure whatever you say to your crew, they understand what you mean. I'll leave these on just for a few seconds, so you can pause and read all of them. Vehicle components. These are what the indicators mean. Some vehicles will have more than others. Some components are more important than others. We will talk about them more later in the guide. Crewman roles. Driver. As a driver, you are responsible for a lot of things. First one is hull and component health. Constantly communicate with your crew whenever there's a change. You must be aware of your surroundings, which means both visually and audibly. That means looking on your map for mines, looking at where enemy infantry or armor is at, sightlines, audio cues of friendly or enemy VIX, enemy or friendly AT, that sort of thing. You must also be able to identify where the most advantageous spot or path is to engage or disengage targets. In relation to this, you need to know the orientation of your vehicle and know if your gunner would be able to shoot effectively. You also need to be aware of the road that you're driving on. Like I said before, you must be aware of friendly mines, but also enemy mines. Mines will stick out on the road, and you could spot them before you drive over them. Again, you need to know the orientation of your vehicle. Shooting on flat surfaces allows your gunner to use their rangefinder correctly and consistently. Being angled makes it a lot harder. You also need to know the path of least resistance. Rocks, trees, and ditches are essentially tank traps. Avoid them as much as possible. As a driver, you need to identify both on the map and in front of you what is a dense patch of trees and what is a nice open field or path. The last thing you want to do is get your armor stuck in a tree or ditch or high-centered on a rock. Crewman roles. Gunner. Gunners have it much simpler. Your job is to identify and call out enemies and destroy them. Gunners also have to be in active communication with the crewmates. Things to share would be the direction of the threat, if you have visual of the enemy, or if you're low on ammo. That's pretty much it. Crewman roles. Commander. Generally, command seat's job is to focus on smaller threats, both in size and priority. If the commander has a gun, they can probably take out threats themselves, but as a general rule of thumb, commanders should not be looking at the same direction as their gunner. Threats can be everywhere, and the command seat usually has a better field of view as well as a faster traverse speed. Make sure to scan for all relevant threats, whether it be helis, ATs, or even UAVs. Some command seats won't be able to look high enough to see helis or UAVs, so it may be up to you to get out and look, or tell the gunner to check themselves if they're able to. If the commander has a gun, eliminate those threats or keep them pinned down. With the ICO, suppression can really mess up an AT getting their round off, so even if you can't see them but you know they're there, just keep firing. And, like all crewmen, they need to constantly be talking to the crew about anything they see or are concerned with. Crewman roles. Shared. Communication has been left out here because it should already be apparent, but the next most important thing for all crewmen to do is to look and read the map constantly. You need to understand sightlines, avenues of travel, points of interest, enemy and friendly marks. You get the gist. Also look out for friendly mines. Everyone needs to be aware of their surroundings, both visually and audibly. You cannot tunnel vision on one target. Always think about the next threat or other threats that may arise. Don't focus on one target or direction either, especially if you can't do anything to help. This is more directed towards commanders with guns who love to shoot at enemy tanks during a tank fight. Stop that. You're being useless. Scan for ATs, TOWs, helis, or other VICs. Another thing to keep in mind is audio cues. Some people still rely on visual cues, especially during a fight and when they're tunnel visioning. You've got to differentiate the sounds of AT, be it HAT, LAT, or ATGM, different vehicle sounds, enemy and friendly vehicles, and the different gun sounds. If you hear a tank south, but it's marked as a BTR, trust your ears. You need to know how to hear these cues and identify where they're coming from. You don't need any fancy surround sound headphones to do this effectively. I still use wired Apple earbuds over my Black Shark V2s because the dynamic sound range of the V2 has just too much noise for me. Being able to quickly identify this stuff only comes with time. So if you're having trouble with this, just keep playing and actually pay attention to the sounds in game. Crewman roles. Squad leader. There really is no right or wrong place to put the SL in. It's all up to preference. Just make sure whoever's SL is comfortable with the flood of command, squad, local, or third-party comms. You should also consider designating a primary shot caller for the rest of the crew. This can help with decision making, especially during armor fights, and can help keep everyone on the same page or idea. There are some caveats with shot calling given the situation, but it's all very dynamic and probably way too long to talk about in detail for this video. But the main point here is just to have one person that everyone listens to and follows. Lastly, make sure you commit. Half-assing things can fuck up your engagement, disengagement, or whatever it may be. If you're going for an idea, you have to be aware of the consequences of winning or losing your armor piece for it. Callouts. These are the kind of callouts that you should be making and should understand. Most important ones here to know is the 3Ds, direction, distance, and description, as well as knowing your cardinal directions. If you know your compass bearings enough to know what number is southeast or northwest, great for you. What typically works the best is using your vehicle or capture zone as a reference point. Regardless of what you say, you need to be able to call out your threats effectively every time so that each crewman knows what to prioritize. You also need to recognize map marks and if they're accurate or not. Like I said earlier, trust your ears if you hear a tank, but it's marked as a BTR. Be aware of infantry kits as well. If you just saw a combat NG somewhere near a road, they probably have mines down. Same with AT. If you see a random HAT or LAT in some random spot on the map, they might have a transport that they're resupplying off of. Also, seeing a fire team of infantry can give away potential spawn points as well as capture points. Threat detection. Threat detection comes in many different ways, as listed here. Destroyed friendly VICs can mean mines or AT. Active or inactive points can mean enemies are around or probably making their way towards it. Enemy VICs that are up and alive can determine how aggressive you are with friendly infantry. Making sure you time vehicle deaths can drastically change your decision making, maneuvering around the map, or pushing an enemy hab located in a town. Make sure you're constantly checking your map, as well as scanning and listening for potential threats. Map marks can lie. If you haven't confirmed it yourself, or you don't trust the people that called it out, you can assume the mark is wrong. As SL, make sure you're constantly communicating with command chat about any recent or updated marks on the map, be it armor, habs, infantry, etc. Be able to identify what to prioritize first and the dangers that come with engaging it. Having a fully crewed Vic can help with that since you'll have multiple eyes and ears. The best rule of thumb for threat detection is by looking for friendly infantry. If there's friendly infantry around, it's probably safe. If there's not, it probably isn't. Positioning. Your positioning will be affected by what's marked or called out on the map. Here are some different positions you might find yourself in. This is all very dynamic and not one method is better than the other. You should constantly be adjusting yourself to fit the needs of your armor piece, as well as the team, and recognize when and how you can help your friendly infantry. Remember, just because you're not actively on point and helping the infantry push doesn't mean you're not helping. Being able to remove their armor from assisting their infantry can be more beneficial in the long run. Don't get caught up on just killing armor though. This is a team game, and your armor is essential to help infantry. You must always be looking for ways to help them out directly or indirectly. Now, on the topic of helping out friendly infantry, the absolute best thing to do with your armor is to try and remove their spawn point. If they have a rally, drive over to it and burn it. If they have a hab, destroy it. Make sure if you're attacking a hab, you have enough ammo as well as friendly infantry to push in and secure it. There are pros and cons with engaging a hab from afar and up close. If you're far, you have distance against enemy AT, and you might have a better view of infantry pouring out. Does, however, create a bigger blind spot on the back of the hab for enemy infantry to run out and outmaneuver you or friendly infantry coming in. The enemy can also sit easier inside the hab and dig it up while you try to shoot it down or suppress it, causing you to waste time and ammo. It's nice to farm kills, but if you're on an experienced player server, you're not going to farm much since they just won't spawn, and they'll probably just send AT or other Vics to get you out of the fight. If you're up close, you'll have less of a blind spot for people coming out of the hab. You're also able to destroy any ammo boxes nearby so the AT can't rearm effectively. You're also able to maneuver around a lot better on the hab to kill anyone inside trying to dig it up. Being up close makes you an easier target for AT to hit though. The min arm distance for lats and hats is 15 and 20 respectively, and that can be gained given the terrain, cover, and concealment. Now, to destroy a hab directly, these are the numbers. This is updated for version 7.1. Check the video description to see the most updated numbers, but as of right now, this is how much rounds it takes to stage a hab or take it down a level. Do keep in mind that tank frag is not the same as tank heat. Frag does a similar amount of damage as like 10 APC HE. If the radio is found or accurately marked, go to the radio over the hab. It's faster to stage, causing the spawn point to be taken out much quicker, and you can bleed it faster than friendly infantry. Target selection. Target selection in theory is simple to understand, but in the heat of the moment can be hard to understand and effectively perform. It is all situational, but generally the order of importance goes ATGM, IFVs with ATGMs, tanks, hats, and lats, and then everything else after. Again, situational given the environment, fight, or even the Vic that you're in. Find whatever is the most dangerous to you and eliminate that first as fast as possible before moving to the next target. So, Sun Tzu was on some crazy shit when he said, if they don't got a lot of guys, do them in. For the layman, that's just defeat in detail. If you have more guns to bear, go on the attack. I forgot where I saw it, but it was probably some StarCraft 2 video describing how if you have two similar units to battle each other, let's say stalkers, the more unbalanced one side is, the more units the weighted side will have at the end of the fight. This is due to the amount of guns being able to fire and deal damage to the enemy. It's pretty much true in all other games, including Squad. Be it infantry or armor, having more guns than the other side can be the difference between winning or losing a fight. What this means is, in any fight, 1v2s, 2v2s, 3v2s, focus on one target before going to the other. Overwhelm your enemy with firepower, and get each one out of the fight as fast as possible. The less guns able to shoot, the better. Repairing. Repairing a vehicle is another important skill people need to understand. Anyone with a repair toolkit can do it, but knowing when, why, and how you repair will determine if you make it out of danger fast or stuck without another crewman for another 5 minutes waiting to get airstruck or AT'd to death. Things to know. If you're right next to a vehicle while repairing it, you will not get overpressured. It doesn't matter if you're in a BTR or a tank. Don't worry about the barrel if you're right up next to the Vic. If you get immobilized, do not immediately get out of the Vic to rep. Make sure the area is safe and your gunner has an adequate angle to cover you. Now, the fallen components can be healed to these percentages. There are some special cases with other Vics, but generally they're as follows. Hull can be repaired up to 20%, turret to 25%, engine to 75%, and wheels and tracks to 100%. Again, not all Vics can be repped to the same percentage as others, and we will go over each one at a later time. Lastly, when repairing, repair on the side with the lowest threat. Should be rather simple to figure this one out. And that's about it for this general armor overview. Please watch any accompanying videos for each section. I will have it in the playlist, and you can just click on whichever section that you want more info about. It's good to watch those videos because you'll get to see them used in action and you can understand my thought process as I'm doing it. After you're done watching those, leave a comment or any questions that you have. The next video is going to be the tank-specific overview. It's probably not going to be posted soon after this one because I'm going to be in a squad tournament called SOI, and some of the armor players in that game are just not that good, and they could probably benefit off of the guide that I would post. So I'm just not going to do it. Obviously, if you see it, then it's already passed, or I find that it's not that big of an issue. But other than that, thank you so much for watching.